By now you've probably heard that IR35 in the private sector is changing, so as a business engaging contract workers, you need to know what IR35 is, who it affects and what your responsibilities are. IR35 is a piece of tax legislation designed to identify individual workers engaged to a business that HMRC believes are disguised employees. IR35 itself isn't changing, but the rules around who's responsible for determining the employment status for tax purposes of a contract worker is. As of April the 6th next year, you as an end client will be responsible for determining the employment status of all of your contract workers working through a personal services company. You'll also need to pass your determination through your supply chain to any recruitment agencies you've got involved and the worker. On top of this, you'll also need to provide a mechanism for contractors to appeal the decision if they disagree. The legislation applies to every contract worker engaged within your business who is working through a personal services company, also known as a PSC or a limited company. This will include anybody who's engaged via the CIS scheme but is still paid into a limited company business bank account. Sole traders or CIS workers paid into a personal account won't be affected. You'll only be responsible where there's a labour-only supply agreement in place. So if you're hiring an engineer to work on one of your sites from a recruitment agency, then yes, you're the end client and you are responsible for determining the tax status of that worker. But if you're hiring a service, for example, plant hire from a local plant hire company, and they supply a machine operator with it, they are paying the worker and they're the end client responsible for making the determination. The legislation comes into effect on April the 6th, 2020, so as the end client you'll be responsible for making sure that any tax deductions that need to be taken out on or after this date are applied to all payments made from this date, regardless of whether the work happened beforehand. Any payments that fall before April the 6th fall under a period during which the contractor was still responsible, so no, you as a client won't have any liability for these payments. There's a lot of misconception going around at the moment in the run-up to the changes that it's safer to decide everybody's inside IR35. And whilst it's true that this doesn't open you up to any tax liability for the risk of making incorrect decisions, deciding that everybody is inside the legislation without properly assessing them will be non-compliant with your responsibilities. Furthermore, you could see a loss of talent if all of your contractors decide to go and work elsewhere. So no, it is not a good idea to decide that everybody is inside IR35. Time is running out until the changes come into place on April the 6th, 2020. So as an end client, you really need to get on with deciding what your plan is going to be for handling the changes. First step is you need to assess your workforce. How many PSCs have you got? Where are they? How long have they been there? How do they operate? Secondly, you need to make sure that you can come up with a plan that your supply chain is going to comply with. Any non-compliance in your supply chain could be disastrous for you as an end client, so you need to make sure everyone's on the same page. It might be worth reaching out to third-party suppliers who can independently review your decisions just to make sure you're taking reasonable care.